Boise State picks up a big Mountain West opening win, and we take a look back at the PEC in year one and what's to come in year two. Welcome to PEC Match Point. I am Michael Fisher, your host for all things about Boise State in the PEC and esports in general. We've got a jam-packed show coming up for you today. As I said, the PEC, its inaugural season, just wrapped up. We'll take a look back at the championships, and Boise State came out on top in a couple of those. Plus, we're going to hear from Boise State head coach Doc Haskell about a couple of new schools joining in on the PEC action for year two. And we'll take a look at that schedule. Who does Boise State play and when? You want to get your notes down because it's a jam-packed season. Rocket League, speaking of, heading to the PEC Kickoff Classic for Rocket League. We'll tell us all about that and hear from Woozy on his thoughts and why the Broncos don't have to play week one and why that might be a good thing. Plus, we'll take a look at how they kicked off Mountain West play in Rocket League against Air Force and what's coming up this week for Boise State Esports. Of course, as I said, if you missed it, the PEC Championship in its inaugural season, Boise State took home a pair of titles in Las Vegas. Rocket League, they took down Michigan State in the championship game in front of a packed house that was very excited for this game. And Overwatch, they claimed another crown, sweeping through everybody in the tournament as Boise State picked up national championships number 5 and number 6 for Bronco Esports. And, of course, that was a first season in the PEC. We're going to hear from Doc Haskell in a little bit about what to come in year two. But if you didn't get a chance to see what happened in the PEC year one, here's a recap of what you missed.
While the finals matchup was predicted by many, the path to get there didn't unfold quite as expected. And if you're the incumbent, the last thing you want is for the challenger to come in battle-tested and fired up. But that's exactly what happened. Michigan State emerged from a heated 5-game brawl with Nebraska, not just warmed up, but red hot.
This is going to be the matchup. This is what you thought it was going to be. That's a credit to these two programs. Michigan State, the winningest program in the PEC this year, and you understand why when you look at how talented these teams are. They're disciplined, they're great, the coaches are great, the program is great, the directors. You have to love a team that puts it all forward and puts it on the line.
After splitting the first 2 games, Michigan State looked confident and in control.
I mean, we both predicted that this wouldn't be a sweep. So we both predicted this would go long.
The pressure was now on the Broncos to respond. But Coach Peyton Wilkin and Doc Haskell didn't need to say much. This team knew what the moment required. Durtho, Woozy, and Preston made quick adjustments, tightened their rotations, and turned up the pressure. The shift was immediate, and the momentum started swinging back toward Boise State. Taking map 3, the Broncos kept their foot on the gas, rolling into a 3-1 series lead and putting themselves on match and championship point.
This is the best scoreline Boise State has had thus far, a 3-1 lead in the match. Can they deliver in Game 5 to win the championship outright?
Yeah, it's been all Boise State. Everything I've said in front is the sky blue. Durtho scores again.
Blocked by Woozy. Knock has to come in, but with not too much boost, and Morvo goes flying under, and Knock is trying to drive it around. How did Boise State let that flew? Oh, they will not pay for it. But oh my goodness, Michigan State almost just drove it in off the ground. What a comeback from Boise State!
But even with an early lead in Game 5, Boise State couldn't shake Jimmer and the rest of the Michigan State squad. The Spartans dug in, determined to stay alive. They weren't ready to hand over the title just yet. They wanted one more game. They got it. Michigan State pulled within 1 game, staving off elimination and shifting the energy in the room. Momentum was all green, and the Spartan faithful made sure everyone felt it. Cheers echoed through the arena as the comeback gained steam. It was up to the Broncos to shut the door before it turned into a full-blown Game 7.
Here, and the offense has been great for both sides, and love to see offense in front. An amazing squeeze, Durtho! What a goal! You have to wonder just how good can Durtho play.
There we go. And a nice block by Boise State. Wins the 50 by a split second. And now going on in, Durtho scores an insurance goal for Boise State. 1 minute left.
But I have to say, the Broncos are just trudging over them, and Michigan State suddenly out of nowhere gets a sign of life. Morvo, spark plug. Talk about a gear in the engine. It's a different opportunity now. In front, peppering the net is Michigan State, who have completely changed the momentum around here. 20 seconds remaining. They're trying to defend themselves, bring it to 7.
The Broncos held firm. With the pressure mounting and the Spartans charging, Boise State dug deep and closed it out.
In front, a great stop, and the game-saving goal from Preston. 2-1, Broncos.
Securing the win and making history as the first ever Power Esports Conference Rocket League national champions. It was a hard-fought finish to a run they won't soon forget.
Boise State proves to be the better team, but what a match from both teams. It wasn't a sweep by any margin, and so many games decided by one goal. That was everything you could have asked for in a fight. Boise State are your PEC champions for 2025 in Rocket League. What a match.
I appreciate, obviously, my parents and my friends, and I'm sure the gentlemen are the same, but I appreciate my team here.
First off, I want to thank Christ. Without Christ, nothing would have been done here. I also want to thank Doc Haskell, Veronica, the parents and everybody that came out today, Riley, and I'm very appreciative of our coach here who helped us out through thick and thin.
With Rocket League claiming the PEC national title and Valorant securing a strong third-place finish, Boise State's final shot at more success rested on the shoulders of their Overwatch squad.
We have what is honestly a clash of David versus Goliath. You have Boise State. They have been in this position so many times before. And then you have Syracuse, the upstarts, the underdogs. And who doesn't want to root for an underdog in the end? So from the looks of things, Lijiang Tower will be the first stop on this finals destination. Point does end up getting flipped, but the boop comes through. Hex falls off the map. Emmy also falling in the process, but Maxwell and Clear quick to be cleaned up. M3 going crazy with the Lucio. Clear and Strider have their ultimates back up, and Emmy's off the map. Whoa, 2 off the map with Strider. Saint going down as well. 2 members from Syracuse down, and that is a fight win for Boise State.
Boise State's clearing up this fight, and that's going to be it. Lunar trapped in a corner. Overtime ticking down. First point's going to go to Boise.
But Syracuse has nothing to defend what's coming at them. Strider trying to challenge Lunar. Both Nemesis forms come out. Ravenous Vortex is on both sides, but Strider's is better. Emmy falls to him. Swift Step comes out. Feet gets cast, and nobody survives that encounter. Lunar can just spin around this point, keep contesting it, trying to get some damage in. Strider taking quite a bit of damage, but it's instantly healed. Emmy and Saint falling to Clear and Hex. Lunar with no support goes down, and this overtime ticks off. Boise State goes up 2-0.
Map 2 of this series, but map 3 in terms of scoring.
Saint Lyric does take a spear to the face, but it doesn't matter.
Whoa.
Speed Glasses with a headshot on Maxwell, quickly reciprocated, and Clear is going to find Azer as well. Lunar by themselves on this point, only M3 to keep them up, and they are going to manage to come back. Oh, wait, nope, never mind. He gets caught sleeping on the job and is unfortunately put down. They're taking quite a bit of damage in the process. Maxwell, though,
Whoa.
Lunar with the Terror Surge finds 2. Strider manages to take out 1. Maxwell finds another in Speed Glasses, but Saint's quick to put him down. That nano boosted Terror Surge was just a little bit too much.
Glasses are going to initiate this tempo.
Oh, good opening pick from Maxwell on to Azier. Speed Glasses is also down. The sound barrier needs to be thrown out by M3. Clear with the Bob, though, isn't going to let that happen, and Saint finds his match. This point is still ticking. It is just Bob holding the line here. Speed Glasses is going to have to find his way in. M3B goes down, and out comes the Ravenous Vortex. Boise State finishes the map with just under 3 minutes on the clock.
M3B was picked early enough to where his beat could not have any impact.
Maxwell and Azer both having a scuffle in the back line, but Clear is going to be taken out by Speed Glasses. Azer quick to follow up with a pick on Strider. He's still haunting the supports, finds one more in Lyric.
This Maxwell's just going to keep applying pressure here, and they're going to pick Saint off.
Oh, but the sound barrier goes through. Hits Lunar and Azer. He falls, but just a little bit more time to contest. But unfortunately, Bob is is a crack shot and takes out 2. And Boise State takes their 3rd round, bringing them to match point. I think if you're going to take a map, this is the time to do it. And you know, Circuit Royale, great map to play on. X on the Life Weaver, ready to save his teammates. Maxwell gets the nano boost, doesn't even need the blade to take out Speed Glasses, finds Azer as well. Can he get the 3rd? Trying to keep Lunar off of it, and the anti-grenade comes through. Lunar with the pick off. Azer and Speed Glasses soon to fall, and it is going to be Boise State capture with almost 5 minutes still remaining.
So they're going to pop the orbital ray from N3B, and they're going to take some space, stunned out of mid-air. Maxwell's doing damage in the back line, gets Speed Glasses and Saint, and they're going to be continuing to do some damage. Maxwell finally goes down to Lunar, but I believe their damage has been dealt.
Oh, and the Graviton Flux cancel as well with the Accretion Strider with the triple.
Will Syracuse be able to touch?
I do not think so. 3 seconds left on the clock. It is just Speed Glasses on the Tracer. He gets there to push them into overtime. Looks like Lunar back on the point with the ball, gets antied, brought down low, forced out. Speed Glasses also goes down to Lyric. Overclock gets popped by Clear. Satan manages to kill Clear on the Life Weaver, but he falls soon to Strider. And that's going to be Boise State winning this game 4-0.
Boise State is your PEC 2025 champions for Overwatch.
The inaugural season of the Power Esports Conference was a breakout year for the Broncos, capped by 2 major titles and program-defining moments.
We just saw what Boise State did in year 1 of the PEC, and on PEC Match Point, we have the privilege of being joined by Boise State Esports head coach Doc Haskell, who's running out of fingers, as I heard, 5 and 6 on the national championship. Toes are up after 10, or what's the plan?
I mean, the real play is you just wear the ones that are significant to the event. You don't try to Thanos it.
Well, we talked about it when we opened the show.
Yep.
3 new members coming into the PEC.
Yes.
Minnesota, Baylor, Utah.
Yes.
What do they bring to the table? High end, maybe upstarts like we heard with Syracuse. What are your expectations for the 3 newcomers?
I expect big things from all 3. We already know. We see the recruiting that Baylor's been doing on the Rocket League side, and they have 2 pieces of their 3-stone infinity gauntlet almost ready, and Rocket League is really, really strong. We like ours, obviously, but they're going to be a big challenge. Michigan State's continue to improve in the Rocket League. We don't know a ton about Utah Rocket League, but remember, Utah was the first FBS school with a sanctioned esports program with scholarships, first FBS school. There were some little schools, but AJ Dimmick and that squad have always been, we don't have rivals, but they've definitely been a target of our interest.
That was going to be my follow-up, is what does the rivalry look like, right? We've heard about Michigan State. Utah has that proximity angle, but you kind of answered it for me. Everybody's our rival, right? Is that how we're approaching it?
We're everybody else's rival.
There we go.
We're our own rival here. If we play the way we should, if we practice, if we prepare, we'll be successful. If we get in our own way, that's a problem.
Well, talk to me a little bit about getting in your own way. We just saw you won the first ever Rocket League championship.
Yes.
You basically swept through the first ever Overwatch championship. How do you keep the teams humble? How do you keep them hungry after winning in year 1?
Yeah, we're unique because we don't have a lot of folks coming in. But with Clear, Jonathan Foraker playing in the pro scene, OWCS, he's about to travel to Japan, then he'll go to Korea again. And then if that qualifies, he'll go all the way to the World Championships again. I think Riyadh this year. Forget where that one is. It was Stockholm last year. We have to have depth at the DPS position. Yes, he's a tank and an off tank, but when you have the number 1 ball in the world, he got offended when I said NA earlier in our scrim, in Strider, in Cannon Miller. We've had to find some homegrown DPS talent, and we've got a couple of folks, Slick Rhodes and Soup, who've been really strong for us. They played today, and of course, we've got Diamond Dog, who's been playing DPS for us this year as well. We've just got to make sure we've got enough depth, especially in Overwatch.
We're going to hear a little bit later on the show from Woozy because you guys are traveling to Syracuse for the kickoff event. But as the head coach, talk us through, how do you wrangle student athletes? How do you make sure everybody's focused? How do you handle that from a coach perspective when you're making a trip across country?
There's always, pressure and release. You want enough pressure in there to make it could honestly, the real answer is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
The players hold the coaches accountable, that we're getting the best scrims that we can, that we're holding all their teammates accountable, and we individually have to hold the players accountable that they're playing the game, that they're playing it the right way, that our Rocket League players are doing the training packs, that they're not playing through quiet scrims, they're trying to get better. 1% better every day is the minimum, right? Is everybody has to come ready to go. We're lucky, and you know this, Fish, we're lucky to have what we do in the athletic department as far as culture building.
Yep.
And they do it right, and we emulate it as much as we can. And truly, that's how we have to prepare for something like this. It is the beginning of the season, and these don't matter, but they always matter.
You're the champ till somebody knocks you off. If somebody knocks you off.
Well, and I like to think, like Spencer Danielson says, we don't start halfway up the mountain,
Nope.
right? We're not the champ this year.
That's true.
We were the champ last year. And so to be the champ this year, we have to earn it. We have to travel the same distance, because if we think we've got a shortcut, somebody else will be champ at the end of the year.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck on your trip to Syracuse, and good luck in the PEC. We're going to see the schedule, the new teams. We're hyped here. We'll see if Boise State can repeat. Big shout-out to Doc Haskell, who, by the way, is going to have 2 new members of the Boise State Esports program. Ryan and Colin Harper, known as LaCroix and Charper, took home first and second in the walk-on tournament for CFB 26. The pair are twin brothers. They're roommates. So you know they got good practice, and you know that final game was heated. Matthew Wallace, who was the defending champion in the Mountain West, took home third. So he will join them in that 3-man death ball squad for Boise State for CFP 26. And let's take a look at how we got to those final pairings.
We will actually crown a champion tonight.
I have to imagine Albertson Stadium would be ringing out with hell's bells around this time.
Oh, he's not going to run it. He's going to try to pass it. He lands it, and he's got all the way to go. This is a true could go all the way.
Oh.
The mood has gone tense.
You know what? I respect it. He's doing it for the culture and for the content.
And talk about content, wide open to drive it all the way. Big pass, and manages to hold on with one arm and falls backwards into the touchdown. Is that not a touchdown to win a tournament?
Scott Matlock, underrated recruit, has built himself into one of the best defensive players in the Mountain West.
What would you do if you couldn't fail? Would you see every setback as a catalyst to keep going? This is the innovator's mindset, because innovation demands daring. It's finding thousands of ways that don't work, and the one that changes everything. It's when your unrelenting spirit sees the world's needs and says, I will create something better. So, what will you do? Will you let your genius run wild? Give yourself the space to be great. Set your sights on something even bigger, because we know changing the world doesn't happen by chance. It comes out of the blue.
Bronco player welcome saw chaos ensuing in the arena. Chair races were the highlight, with almost everybody making it around the battlegrounds without falling. However, we do have some controversy that we're actually going to be able to address here coming up, with Business Development Coordinator Riley Boyd allegedly being unfairly assessed penalty points by head referee Doc Haskell, who we just spoke to. But outside of that, it was a blast. Always something I've wanted to do whenever I've seen the Battleground. Maybe next year I'll be invited, because this seems like a tradition for years to come. And now joining us on PEC Matchpoint is Riley Boyd. Again, I wasn't here, Riley, so please give us your best, unbiased breakdown of what happened. What's going on with you and Doc?
Well, first of all, it's a dang good thing that we had somebody out there keeping us separated. Okay. So let me tell you what went down here.
Okay, I'm listening.
I'm pushing one of our players around the corner because we needed an extra pusher. I'm pushing our player around the corner. And he gets pretty close to the door, which would assess a penalty point, but he doesn't touch it. Then a little bit later, he does touch.
Uh-huh.
Come around the corner, and I hear Doc say, yeah, that's 2. That's 2 seconds added on. And that we lost the race by 1 second, Fish. Now I'm telling you, I think that there was some bias against me because I was a staff member that was, participating with the students. So, look, I'm not going to say that I didn't have to get talked out of resigning in protest by my wife, but I'm not going to not say it either.
I mean, it's always about first place here at Boise State. I understand completely.
You come here to win championships, and I want to win a championship.
You got to. If you're not on the field, it's winning chair race championships. I completely agree with you.
Exactly. You see, protest.
You just got to come back stronger and angrier next year.
That's fair.
You're here full time. Doc's here all the time, so I don't know how you'd sneak it in, but maybe sneak a couple practice laps in, right? You gotta find the strategy.
Do you want to practice after this?
Ooh, maybe we could.
We can get some practice in.
Okay, now the other big thing, you got to get a chair, right? And you got to kind of grease it up throughout the year.
That's true.
Get it in that perfect angle, and then you just kind of hide it in your desk right around this time next year.
Yeah.
Hide it in your office, and then boom, hey, this is my chair. This is my chair. I grabbed it from over there, right? That's what you got to do.
See, and I think we need to go from we were doing team stuff,
yeah.
And our producer Ray Barnes will tell you I'm undefeated when it comes to solo chair racing.
You got to have both.
I am undefeated.
I'm getting some feedback in my ear that maybe you're not undefeated, but
no, I don't think I've ever lost. I don't think I've ever
check
lost.
the tapes, but
tell you what, let's run it back. Let's run it back. We'll see what happens
next year. Staff race.
That's what I'm
saying. Student race, and then you meet them in the middle.
Okay, I can get behind that. Somebody take some notes.
We need to have independent judges. But enough of the chair races. We just heard from Doc about the PEC.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about what you're looking at. What's coming through in Riley's in the business development side for Boise State Esports? What's coming through the pipeline that we should expect this year?
I mean, it's an exciting time to be a Bronco, right? We're seeing so many championships on the athletic side, and now esports joining into that. That only unlocks some incredible stuff from us. My role is to be out in the community, selling to people, finding partners. We have some fantastic partners already. ICCU, Dairy West, Idaho Air National Guard, who's the presenting partner of this show.
Yep.
And not to do injustice to any of our other partners, but we've got a pretty hefty list.
Yeah.
And we're continuing to grow those. And what our partners are able to do for us is enhance our student experience in a way that we could never do before.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been here long term. Again, big shout out to the Idaho Air National Guard. They bring you PEC Match Point every week here for this semester. Talk us through, again, how that transition has been, right? I mean, I was here in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I went away. We could talk about you and I were actually almost reunited and then almost replaced you. We can get into that. But what did that transition look like, going from more of like a club scene to now officially supported by Bronco Athletics?
Well, I mean, I think that the amount of support that we got from the College of Innovation and Design, where we were hosted before, it cannot be understated.
Oh,
they were phenomenal. Jen and Amanda, Melissa, who's not now with the university anymore and doing some incredible things. And I mean, there's too many folks over there to name. And obviously we got to steal Veronica Roper, who's now our director of operations. She came over with us, which is a fantastic get for what we do because she's the best in the business. So I don't think that it's been a change in support by any means. It's been a change in mentality a little bit. I think when you move from an academic unit to an athletic unit, the speed in which you're able to just run, essentially, it's like tenfold. It is crazy. I can tell you firsthand, when we hear our athletic director Jeremiah Dickey say, "What's next?" It's not just an idea. It's quite literally, you don't celebrate a win for more than a few minutes before somebody says, "Okay, what's next?" And that's the mentality that you have to have, and I love it.
100%.
I think our staff is getting a little bit addicted to it because it's almost like it's just constant dopamine hits. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've absolutely been a big fan of what Dickey's brought over the place as an alumni of Boise State. Again, saw this program grow up. Love to be back and see what it is. But, let's step away from Boise State for a little bit. You and I almost crossed paths.
Yeah.
Down in
Missouri.
The heartland in Missouri.
Yeah.
You were doing some more esports stuff down there, right?
Little bit of esports, a little bit of sports info. We were
back and forth.
Yeah, we were. I was a full-time esports director, 3/4 time. You can't really, not full time, but I mean, it felt like another full time job doing sports info.
Right?
Shout out to my folks at Missouri Western. Go Griffs.
Yeah, and then, we almost crossed paths. There's a story for another time about, I wouldn't be here if maybe Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce don't start a podcast because there was some, the domino meme of they start a podcast, Taylor Swift gets involved, and now I'm here, right? But
yeah,
hey, look, and we were talking about this before the show. You didn't like the state of Missouri, apparently, allegedly.
No, I'll lean into that.
What's going on there? 'Cause it's hot.
Humidity, stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Cockroaches, the worst.
Okay, that's a hygiene problem.
No, but it's not.
I never had that.
All three places. Listen, we're clean. We're clean.
Allegedly.
Okay, hold on. You lived in big city Kansas City. Okay, I lived in little old St. Joe.
Okay, yeah, but I've had roommates who are just like me. Maybe dishes sit in the sink for a little while. I've never seen a cockroach in my life.
I lived in an apartment. I lived in a crazy apartment building out there, and I think that's what did it for us. No, I mean, there's some people in Missouri that changed my life. I think about former employers that I had. Emily Ludwig, who it's highly unlikely that she'll ever see this, but just a huge influence on what I ever did.
We're going global here. Don't shoot us down.
Emily Ludwig was a phenomenal help for me. Jake Grooms as well. I mean, some of the Missouri Western folks. Andy Carter, the athletic director there. Paul Smith. We did some great things. We did some cool things. And you're right. We got to work with the Chiefs with their training camp there, which was pretty cool. I got to stat a D2 women's national championship game for hoops, which was
pretty cool.
Unbelievable. My wife and I were kind of a stat combo together.
Nice.
She called.
That's always great.
Yeah, I mean, we got to do some incredible things. So, I mean, I jokingly...
I'll give you the humidity, though. The humidity is no joke.
Yeah. Corn sweats...
People around here tell me, oh, yeah, the humidity... No, the humidity... Go to the Midwest. It's not cool in the shade. That's the problem.
Can we agree? We can dunk on Missouri. Nebraska sucks.
I mean, I made the drive twice when I moved out there and when I moved back. It goes Idaho, Utah, Missouri. Because there's nothing in the middle besides corn. You're struggling to stay awake.
I do have to tell you, though, in Laramie, Wyoming, which you have to drive through if you're coming back, right?
Yep.
We went to a football game there. We drove about halfway back because we went to the football game 2 years ago out there in Laramie. Maybe it was 3 years ago now. Coldest game I've ever been at. But I did find that was the first place I ever tried a steak and egg and cheese bagel sandwich from McDonald's.
Ooh.
Life-changing. Laramie got it first. I think that's unfair. Why are we testing things in Laramie, Wyoming? That's what I want.
I mean, if they like it,
what are we doing?
The only thing I remember about Laramie is I was driving through there once, and the only restaurant I could find was a Red Robin. That was like the everything restaurant.
I don't even remember where the Red Robin is in Laramie.
That's all I remember. No shade to Laramie.
Have you been to War Memorial, their football stadium down
there?
No,
I haven't, unfortunately.
It's pretty cool.
I've never been able to make the drive during football season. I've had to go summer.
Go early in football season because by this time there, it's probably 15 degrees. It's cold. But it's a cool stadium. I mean, it's like the town. There's no buildings taller than 2 or 3 stories. And you're just driving down a road. And then all of a sudden, just giant stands. Almost the size, their 2 side stands are almost the size of Albertson Stadium. They just don't have any end zones. Which, how exciting is it, by the way, that we're filling it? You're coming back for your first year here. And we're filling in the north end zone here at Albertson Stadium. That's going to be pretty cool.
I drive past it on the way in. And I go, dang, can't wait to go check out a game there. Just like I can't wait to check out a game here in the arena, in the battlegrounds. Thank you, Riley, so much for joining us. Cannot wait to talk to you throughout the year. But again, this is PEC Match Point. Let's talk about the PEC, and let's look at Boise State's schedule. This is what they've got coming up. Syracuse, Michigan State, Baylor, Kansas, Utah, Minnesota, Ohio State, and Nebraska in the fall regular season. It is important to note, however, that week 1 for Boise State is week 2 for everybody else. The Broncos securing a week 1 bye in the PEC. And Koss from the Valorant team talked about how important it is to get a bye in week 1 of the PEC.
I think PEC is it's definitely a very big thing. And I'm super excited to, start and to go into that and just try my best to compete and have fun, but also do well. The team overall right now is doing really well. We're still just sort of getting back into things. But I think we're setting the groundwork that will allow us to succeed throughout the season. We're still coming up with strategies, day by day, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. In terms of who I want to play the most, maybe Syracuse. I don't really have anyone that I'm necessarily afraid of taking on, but I'm just excited to play whatever. The first week can be very telling because it can show a lot of biases in people's map picks, and also just allow us to, we'll be able to prepare a lot more for the next week, just off of the fact that we already know what people are going to want to play, and we're able to prepare off of that, versus if we started the first week, we wouldn't have been able to, have any preparation going into it.
Scott Matlock, underrated recruit, has built himself into one of the best defensive players in the Mountain West.
What would you do if you couldn't fail? Would you see every setback as a catalyst to keep going? This is the innovator's mindset, because innovation demands daring. Is finding thousands of ways that don't work, and the one that changes everything. It's when your unrelenting spirit sees the world's needs and says, I will create something better. So, what will you do? Will you let your genius run wild? Give yourself the space to be great. Set your sights on something even bigger, because we know changing the world doesn't happen by chance. It comes out of the blue.
Scott.
Michael Fisher here, brought to you by the Idaho Air National Guard. Broncos, we talked about it, opened up Mountain West play already, taking on Air Force in a very heated Rocket League match. They kicked off with a star performance from Woozy and Durtho, both who had winning goals to bring home the victory, while Preston provided constant pressure in the midfield, as well as numerous assists to put the Broncos on top and kick the year off 1-0. Boise State will look to win their 5th consecutive Mountain West Championship this year, and they hope to send 2023 National Player of the Year Durtho out with a clean sweep of Mountain West Championships.
Air, potentially for a teammate. Boise State low on boost. Durtho the only one with a decent amount to try and make any sort of plays here. Preston has to jump out quick. That one's going to go out. Woozy, pass up, field. Durtho looking for the double. It's going to send it in. Bottom down. Oh!
Just barely.
Absolutely. 3-0 fashion. You love to see it out of Boise State in week 1.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Boise State. A lot of play that I saw from Boise.
We heard about it a little bit earlier from Coach Haskell. The Power Esports Conference is back for year 2, and the 2025 kickoff is live from Syracuse this weekend, September 20th. 4 of the league's biggest names, Boise State, Michigan State, Nebraska, and of course the host Syracuse, all square off in Rocket League. As we talked about, the Broncos come in as the defending champions. Michigan State was right behind them in a spirited championship game. The Spartans took down Nebraska in the semifinals, and Syracuse fell to the Cornhuskers in the lower bracket. So all 4 of these teams could be at the top of the regular season standings. So what a way to kick off the year with a kickoff tournament between these 4. Boise State, they're packing up, as we heard from Coach Haskell. They're going to fly to Syracuse on Friday, ready to defend their crowns. Even though these games don't count, they mean a lot when the target's on your back for the new PEC season that opens soon. And with the influx of new talent in the PEC, the Broncos might be nervous. Here's what Woozy had to say about this upcoming match.
So leaving tomorrow, going to New York, going to Syracuse for the first time ever, coming off a defending championship for PEC. I know that this season is going to be significantly tougher than last season. We have a target on our back, and everybody wants to beat us. I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to showcase the skills that we've been working on in the offseason and show that we are still here to hold on to the title. The team is grinding more than ever. I've talked about it. I think even though we did win PEC, there were some other challenges that we had to go through and endure, and I believe that getting punched in the mouth a little bit helps us reinstate that grind, that drive for us to just be better than we were before. And I think we've come out the other side of it even better than what we were. We always say that we have no rivals, but Michigan State tries really hard. They try really hard to be our rivals, and they gave us a good fight in Vegas in April. And I think I am most excited to play against them and just see what they bring to the table this weekend.
Good luck to the Broncos in their trip. Hopefully they bring home that preseason gold. While the PEC teams are off on a bye, Boise State still has some action coming up against a Mountain West foe. San Jose State and the Broncos will square off in 3 games. Super Smash Bros., Rocket League, and we talked about it earlier on the show, 2 of the new additions will get their first crack at the action in CFB 26. Hopefully the Broncos can move to 2-0 in Rocket League and stay undefeated in Mountain West play. This has been PEC Match Point, presented by the Idaho Air National Guard. I'm Michael Fisher. Go Broncos.